5 Israeli hostages killed in Hamas captivity were recovered from an underground tunnel network in the northern Gaza. The 3 soldiers and 2 civilians were among 240 people taken hostages by terror group Hamas of October 7. Israel said the circumstances of the killing is being probed. Meanwhile, Israeli army on Sunday released footage showing what it said an operation to dismantle Hamas's northern underground headquarters in Gaza. The video showed a section of tunnel lined with white tiles as well as a similarly designed bathroom with a basic shower, toilet and sink, and a workroom with a corner table and bench. One tunnel had a drinking water dispenser and a pile of bullets.
The Israeli forces uncovered and dismantled a network of terrorist tunnels of Hamas in Gaza. This is a network that was the northern headquarters of Hamas in Gaza. In the headquarters, which is located dozens of meters underground, we found weapons, infrastructure for production of weapons, laboratories where weapons were produced.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli forces are going deeper into the Gaza Strip. Netanyahu, in a video statement on Sunday, said that fight will continue until the total victory over Hamas. Expressing grief over the rising toll of soldiers in the conflict, Netanyahu said Israel is paying a heavy price.
We are deepening the war in Gaza Strip. We will continue to fight until the total victory over. We will continue to fight until the total victory over Hamas. This is the only way to return our hostages, eliminate Hamas, and ensure that Gaza will no longer be a threat to Israel. The war has a price, a very heavy price in the lives of heroic warriors. And we are doing everything to safeguard the lives of our warriors. But one thing we'll not do, we'll not stop until we achieve victory.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has denied a report in the Wall Street Journal which said US President Joe Biden had stopped Israel from making a preemptive strike on Hamas ally Hezbollah in Lebanon. With more details about the report and some analysis on the US's relationship with Israel, here's our Washington correspondent Jagrati Dave.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, US President Joe Biden held a call with Benjamin Netanyahu on October the 11th. That is something that we know, but on that call, the Wall Street Journal is saying that the US president urged Mr. Netanyahu to stop a preemptive strike on Hezbollah, Hamas's ally, their forces, Hezbollah forces in Lebanon. It says, the report in the Wall Street Journal, that the US was disputing Israeli intelligence that suggested that Hezbollah forces were going to commit an attack across the border. And so, as a result of these reports, Benjamin Netanyahu said that that this is not true, that Israel is a sovereign state. He said, our decisions in the war are based on our operational considerations, and I will not elaborate on that. Netanyahu insisted on Sunday that Israel's actions are not dictated by external pressures. Now, this is interesting given the relations between the US and Israel. Historically, they've enjoyed very close ties. United States presidents and Israeli leaders have historically been close. And US President Joe Biden has also had close relations with Israeli leaders. So there is a sense that the US has influence over Israel. However, the United States is also aware of the public sentiment here in the US about the rising death toll in Gaza, and it has led the US to make equivocal criticism of Israel, saying that, veiled criticism, perhaps you could say, that Israel needs to take every possible precaution not to harm civilians. And there are also clearly differences between the United States and Israel over the long-term plan for Gaza. So all of these considerations are playing out as the war in the Middle East shows no signs of abating anytime soon. Jagrati Dave in Washington, reporting for DD India.
While shifting focus to Russia-Ukraine conflict, where military exchange from both sides claims to have downed enemy aircraft on Sunday in different areas of 1,000-kilometer long front line. The commander of Ukraine's Air Force said Ukrainian anti-aircraft units had struck a Russian Su-34 fighter bomber in southern Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry reported its air defense shot down 3 Su-27 fighter aircraft and 1 Su-24 tactical bomber in southeastern Ukraine. On Friday, Ukrainian president said the country's forces shot down 3 Russian Su-34 fighter bomber aircraft on the southern front, hailing it as a success in the conflict. Russian President Vladimir Putin chairs a meeting of the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council in St. Petersburg. The EAEU is an economic union of Russia, Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. The meeting will be followed by an informal summit of the leaders of the Commonwealth of Independent States. DD India correspondent Dasha Cherneshova has more from Moscow.
Leaders of the Eurasian Economic Union, that comprises of 5 post-Soviet states, are meeting in St. Petersburg, and Russian President Vladimir Putin will chair a meeting of the Supreme Council as member states are to sign several documents. The Kremlin says among those will be an agreement on free trade zone with Iran. The meeting is also expected to sign a declaration on further development of the Union until 2030 and for the period until 2045. The leaders will sum up the work of the Union under Russian chairmanship in 2023 and discuss the spheres where tighter integration is needed. In St. Petersburg, Russian President will also hold a traditional informal meeting of the CIS heads of states. The Kremlin says it expects serious and substantiative discussions. Moscow also hopes that Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan will accept Putin's invitation and attend both of these events. Armenia has skipped previous Collective Security Treaty Organization's meetings at various levels, saying that Azerbaijan's actions and inaction of the CSTO forced Yerevan to seek to diversify its relations in the security area. Dasha Cherneshova reported in Moscow for DD India.
Now, for the first time, Ukraine is celebrating Christmas on December 25 after the government changed the date from January 7, a move aimed at distancing the country from Russian traditions. Ukrainian attended prayer services on Sunday. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered Christmas message to Ukrainians, assuring them of eventual victory over Russia.
We pray for the end of the war. We pray for the victory. We will do it today too, no matter where we are, no matter where we mark Christmas. Today, all Ukrainians are together. We mark Christmas all together on the same date as one big family, as one nation, as one united country. Step by step, day by day, darkness is losing, and darkness will finally lose. The evil will lose.
Military chaplain visited Ukrainian soldiers stationed near the frontline city of Kupiansk in eastern Ukraine on Christmas Eve. Ukrainian soldiers, part of the 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade, attended a service led by Archpriest Orbian and later shared a Christmas Eve dinner featuring traditional Ukrainian dishes like kutia, a sweet grain dish. In the past, Ukrainian Christians mostly celebrated Christmas in the early January. This year, the holiday is celebrated on December 25 as Ukraine's main Orthodox Church has broken with Moscow and turned its face towards the west. Parliament passed a law earlier this year shifting Christmas officially to December 25th. Now, Turkey's Air Force conducted airstrikes in northern Iraq and Syria and destroyed 29 targets of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party after 12 soldiers were killed in the past 2 days in northern Iraq. Defense Minister Yasser Guler said it has neutralized 30 PKK militants in northern Iraq so far. Guler was at the command center following the airstrikes overnight and addressed the pilots, congratulating them for a successful operation. Later on Sunday, he attended the funerals of the soldiers killed and visited the wounded who are being treated in hospital. Turkey regularly carries out airstrikes in neighboring Iraq as part of its offensive against PKK militants based there. Special Envoy of the UN Secretary General for Yemen, Hans Grundberg, announced a major breakthrough following a series of meetings in Riyadh and Muscat, which has been welcomed by Saudi Arabia's foreign ministry, stating that the ministry reiterates the kingdom's continued support for Yemen and its brotherly people and its constant keenness to encourage the Yemeni parties to sit at the dialogue table. The Saudi state news agency SPA reported on Sunday. The meetings resulted in a commitment by all parties to implement a series of measures aimed at establishing a nationwide ceasefire, improving living conditions, and resuming an inclusive political process under the support and guidance of the United Nations. Houthi rebels in Yemen have stepped up attacks on vessels in the Red Sea since November 19 to show support for Hamas. These attacks have not just disrupted the key trade route, but also posed a threat to the global economy. More in this report.
The surge in attacks targeting merchant vessels in the Red Sea is compelling companies to divert their ships onto lengthier routes, putting a significant stress on the global economy. In the past week, Houthi rebels in Yemen have fired missiles at container ships in the Red Sea. Houthi representatives have declared their intention to continue with attacks targeting ships associated with Israel in any capacity. They cite their support for Hamas and express these actions as a form of protest against Israel's military operations in Gaza. Major shipping entities like Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd and MSC have opted to avoid the Red Sea. They're implementing a precautionary measure by halting their vessels prior to navigating through the Bab el-Mandab Strait en route to the Suez Canal. The Indian Navy's mission-deployed platforms demonstrated prompt response to a maritime incident in the Arabian Sea involving a missile or drone attack on empty Camp Pluto. Reacting quickly, the Indian Navy diverted a maritime patrol aircraft which was undertaking routine surveillance in the area. Additionally, the Indian Navy redirected the naval ship Marugao to assess the situation and offer assistance to MV Camp Pluto. Bureau Report, DD India.
And DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us on the phone line for more details. Akshay, what is the current situation right now in the Red Sea?
Well, the situation is not good at all. In fact, as far as these threats of attacks are concerned, because there have been quite a substantial increase in the number of attacks. The entry of tankers into the Red Sea area has plummeted by about 40%. That means that the tankers, the ships that were to trade from that particular route are not opting for that route. Many are circumnavigating the entire continent of Africa, and that can be, in fact, a major disruption to not just the regional but the global trade as well. As far as the crossing through the Red Sea is concerned, because of these threats that are constantly hovering over the ships and the tankers that are to pass through that particular channel.
Okay, and Akshay, now considering 12% of global trade passes through the Red Sea, how significant is the potential disruption to the world economy?
Well, quite a huge one. Like I mentioned, as far as the crude oil supply is concerned to most of the Asia, the shippings that are coming from Europe to Asia, the ships that are going from Asia to Europe, especially those that are linked with Israel, they are under constant threats. We have seen that even the MV Camp Pluto, as it came under attack, now there's a blame game going on that who exactly attacked. The US has blamed drone from Iran, whereas the Houthis are saying that it was a ship, it was a missile attack rather fired by a US ship in that particular region. So what we can see is the escalation to continue unless concrete measures are taken by all the parties to ensure that trade doesn't get impacted because of the regional tensions.
All right, and Akshay, are there any measures being taken or any strategy being implemented on global level, on international level, to counter potential economic fallout?
As of now, no concrete strategy has come up as far as ensuring that the region remains safe.
Okay.
However, individual entities, individual countries, their individual measures. For example, as far as India is concerned, it had deployed its warships as well as other smaller boats to ensure the safety of the ships that were coming in, especially when we talk about Camp Pluto, MV Camp Pluto. As it came under attack, the Indian Navy was prompt in deploying its assets to ensure that the crew is safe. However, as far as a global strategy is concerned, that remains absent. And if it is not formed and every party is not included and all people are not on board, and if there is a threat that continues to global trade, it can wreak havoc as far as the trade in that route is concerned.
All right, thank you so much for your analysis, Akshay. Now still to come on DD India News Hour. Thousands gather in Serbian capital Belgrade to protest recently held polls, demand annulment. Indian plane passengers held in France over suspected human trafficking could leave Monday. And Peruvian police carried out a drug bust operation with the special help. Stay tuned to know how.
India's huge leaps towards becoming self-reliant in defense sector. Policy changes enabling increased involvement of private sector, from humanitarian assistance to rescue operations. Increased synergy among armed forces through joint military exercises. Watch Echoes 2023, India's Defenders at these times only on DD India.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić urged a group of opposition leaders to stop the hunger strike a week after parliamentary election won by Serbia's ruling Serbian Progressive Party. The total of 5 prominent opposition leaders have been on hunger strike, including Miroslav Aleksić and Marinika Tepic, who started the strike on December 18. The opposition alleged major election law violations in Belgrade city parliament races, including voter registration fraud, bribery and result rigging, and demanded it be rerun.
To all those who are on a hunger strike, I would like to ask that they all end their hunger strike since, honestly, elections were not called at the time because, despite their lack of legitimacy, we had really won the elections and they had lost by a margin of 2-1. They didn't really care. And it is a significant difference if compared to the present situation. So let them return to their duties. They can organize protests every day.
Meanwhile, thousands gathered in the Serbian capital in an anti-government protest which turned into clashes with riot police. Protesters hurled stones at Belgrade City Hall demanding the annulment of parliamentary and local elections. Police fired pepper spray after a crowd tried to break in the Belgrade City Hall where the local election commission is based. Some of the protesters climbed the building and broke windows. Earlier, international monitoring mission said the ruling party gained an unfair advantage in snap parliamentary elections through media bias, the improper influence of President Aleksandar Vučić, and voting irregularities such as vote buying. Chad's new constitution was approved by 86% of voters in a referendum held a week ago, but opposition leaders challenged the figures. The country's military rulers have promoted the new constitution, but it had been denounced by opposition politicians, with some calling for a boycott of the December 17 vote. Turnout stood at 63.75%, the Electoral Commission said, which opposition leaders contested. The electoral authorities said that apart from some minor dysfunctions, the referendum had passed off smoothly. The results are preliminary, with the definite results due from Supreme Court on December 28. Well, Tunisia held first local polls under the new constitution. The voting was the first step in determining the composition of a new local and regional national council. However, parties across the political spectrum boycotted the election. They argue that election is the latest step in President's authoritarian agenda. Tunisia has been in the throes of a deep political crisis that has aggravated the country's economic conditions since 2021, when President Kais Saied ousted the government and dissolved parliament. Well, Moldova's pro-European President Maia Sandu intends to run for a second presidential term in late 2024. She also called on Parliament to begin preparations for a referendum on the country's dive to join the European Union. The country's most prominent opposition figure, socialist pro-Russia former President Igor Dodon, denounced both her intention to seek re-election and the call for a referendum. A former World Bank economist, Sandu has made EU membership the cornerstone of her program since defeating Dodon in a landslide election in December 2020. An EU summit earlier this month gave the go-ahead to start membership talks with both Moldova and Ukraine. The death toll in the aftermath of 6.2 magnitude earthquake in China has gone up to 149 now, with 2 people still missing according to the state media report. The epicenter of the quake affected the provinces of Gansu and Qinghai, with Gansu bearing the brunt of quake's wrath. More than 200,000 homes were wrecked, while 15,000 were on the brink of collapse. The severity of the damage impact was attributed to the shallowness of the quake, the thrust-type rupture of the earthquake, and the relatively soft sedimentary rock in the region also amplified the destructive power of the tremors. Thousands of migrants left the town of Tapachula in southern Mexico early with the hope of reaching the United States. Leading the caravan were migrants carrying a cross, a Mexican flag, and a large banner that read, "Poverty Exodus." The procession came just days before Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in Mexico City to hammer out new agreements to control the surge of migrants seeking entry into United States. Migrants are heading through Mexico to the U.S. to escape violence, economic distress, and negative impacts of climate change. This month, as many as 10,000 migrants were arrested per day at the U.S. southwest border. And 16 people have been killed in an attack in Nigeria's north-central state of Plateau. Clashes between herders and farmers are common in this area. Plateau is one of several ethnically and religiously diverse hinterland states where intercommunal conflict has claimed hundreds of lives in recent years. The violence is often painted as ethno-religious conflict between Muslim herders and mainly Christian farmers. Five civilians killed in Russian attacks on southern Ukraine's Kherson region, while 1 person was killed and 6 others wounded in Russian-controlled Horlivka as a result of Kyiv's shelling. The deaths in Kherson occurred in an incessant Russian shelling of the city and the region, Ukrainian officials said. Kherson's regional military administration said gas and water supplies were partially cut off due to the attacks, which also hit a medical facility. In Horlivka, an area of Ukraine's Donetsk region under Russian control, Ukraine's shelling destroyed a shopping center and several other buildings. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Oaxacans enjoy ornate taproot sculptures during the Night of Radishes. Artists and gardeners gather to display intricately carved radishes, reflecting themes from region to daily life. The tradition dates back to the 16th century when Spanish friars encouraged local indigenous workers to cultivate and carve radishes to boost sales. Wars between powerful and heavily armed gangs have gravely affected the lives of refugees in Haiti. Christmas spirit was dampened among families displaced by gang violence and living in a shelter in Port-au-Prince on Saturday. The United Nations had earlier ratified sending an international force of troops volunteered by member nations to support the national police in dealing with these gangs. Peruvian police carried out a drug bust operation with the special help of Santa Claus in Huacal, near the capital Lima. Officer dressed as Santa broke down a door with a sledgehammer and helped to detain suspects. 2 men were arrested for selling drugs. The annual Surfing Santa Day on Florida's Cocoa Beach saw hundreds of surfing Santas and elves take to the waves. The 15-year event, which began as a simple family beach day, has grown into a beloved tradition for locals and visitors, blending Florida sunshine and Christmas spirit. Participants enjoyed live music, a costume contest, and watched the Santas ride the waves. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India's Prime Minister will release first series of 11 volumes of collected works of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya on 162nd birth anniversary. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with 250 students from Jammu and Kashmir as part of Watan Ko Jano program. And India's Sports Ministry suspends newly elected Wrestling Federation of India body, asks IOA to form an ad hoc committee.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome to a happy place. To nature's warm embrace. Witness the power of faith, fruits of hard work, and protectors of Mother Earth. Unique in every way. Discover something new every day. A small state with big ambitions. And a bigger heart. Mizoram welcomes to love, laughter, and celebrations.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and let's have a look at the headlines once again. Israel says 5 Gaza hostages found dead in tunnel, circumstances being probed. PM Netanyahu says Israel paying heavy price for war. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar begins Russia visit from Monday to discuss bilateral, multilateral and international issues with his counterpart, to also meet Deputy PM. India observes Good Governance Day on the birth anniversary of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Joy of Christmas transcends differences and fosters sense of togetherness. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will begin his 5-day Russia visit on Monday as part of the ongoing high-level exchanges between the two sides. During the visit, EAM will meet Deputy Prime Minister and Industry and Trade Minister Denis Manturov to discuss matters related to economic engagement. EAM will meet his counterpart Sergei Lavrov for discussion on bilateral, multilateral and international issues. focusing on the strong people-to-people and cultural ties between our two countries. EAM's program will include engagements in Moscow and in St. Petersburg. The time-tested India-Russia partnership has remained stable and resilient and continues to be characterized by the spirit of this special and privileged strategic partnership. A Nicaragua-bound flight carrying 303 passengers, mostly Indians, was allowed to resume its journey after 3 days of grounding by the French authorities at an airport near Paris. French prosecutors on Sunday gave the go-ahead for the plane to leave after questioning the passengers for 2 days. The plane is expected to take off again on Monday morning. The hearings were conducted as part of the investigation opened by the Paris prosecutor's office. Good Governance Day is being observed on Monday to commemorate 99th birth anniversary of former Prime Minister Bharat Ratna Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Atal Bihari Vajpayee may not be physically present among us today, but his entire life is an example. Embracing his personality and thoughts in our lives can be a true tribute to him.
Atal Bihari Vajpayee, born on 25th of December 1924 in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh, had a political journey that spanned over 4 decades. In 1984, BJP had secured only 2 seats in the Lok Sabha. But in 1999, a coalition government was formed in the country under him. He had such a wide acceptance that even the opposition admired him. He contested the elections for the first time in 1952 for the parliament and the last time in 2004. Apart from his parliamentary life, Vajpayee had been associated with the Jan Sangh since long in his political life. Later, from 1977 to 1980, he remained a founding member of the Janata Party. During that time, the Jan Sangh merged into the Janata Party. He also held the position of foreign minister in Morarji Desai's government. Initially, he was the opposition leader in the Lok Sabha and then took the oath as Prime Minister for the first time in 1996. In 1999, Vajpayee took the oath as the Prime Minister for the 3rd time. He demonstrated that amid coalition politics and fragmentation, the boundaries of democracy and ethics could be maintained. During his tenure, India was entering the 21st century and he provided the nation with a new goal and determination to improve infrastructure, roads, communication and security. Within his 13-month tenure, he made a courageous decision and conducted nuclear tests in Pokhran, making India a nuclear-powered nation. Apart from this, initiatives like Golden Quadrilateral for Infrastructure Development, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana and the start of a new telecom policy in the communications sector were all initiated under Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's leadership, from which the country is benefiting immensely today. In 2015, he was honoured with the Bharat Ratna. At that time, breaking all protocols, President Pranab Mukherjee himself went to the former Prime Minister's residence and honoured him with the country's highest civilian honour. Atalji's attractive personality and distinctive eloquence will always adorn Indian democracy.
India is also observing the 162nd birth anniversary of eminent freedom fighter Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will release a series of 11 volumes of compilation collected works of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya here in New Delhi on Monday. In Amrit Kal, which marks 75 years of India's independence, it has been the vision of Prime Minister to bestow the much-deserved recognition to the Indian freedom fighters who contributed immensely to the service of the nation. The release of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya's works is an endeavour in this direction. The work, being released in both Hindi and English in 11 volumes, spread across about 4,000 pages, is a collection of the writings and speeches of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya collected from every nook and corner of the country. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday interacted with 250 students from Jammu and Kashmir as part of Watan Ko Jano program. More than 250 students from almost all districts of Jammu and Kashmir from underprivileged backgrounds are touring the country. The students have visited Jaipur, Ajmer and New Delhi cities. Now let's tell you how students from Jammu and Kashmir reacted after meeting India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. Some comments are really heart-touching.
It was very amazing. बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है, कुछ करने का मन करता है सर की तरह।
सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा, हम बुलबुले हैं इसकी ये गुलसितां हमारा।
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा आज प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी से मिलके। मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई क्योंकि मैंने आज पहली बार देखा, मुझे यकीन ही नहीं हो रहा था कि वो हमारे सामने। और उनकी बात मुझे अच्छी लगी कि उन्होंने बोला मैं हर काम में मुझे थकान महसूस नहीं होती, वो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा।
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा इधर मिलके। हमें मतलब लगता नहीं था कि हमें ये मौका मिलेगा इधर आने का। बहुत ही अच्छा लग रहा है स्टेज पे। श्रीनगर जैसे हमारा लाल चौक ज़्यादा फिट नहीं था, अब वो बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है। लाल चौक को देख के दिल्ली की याद आ जाती। तो हम इसके लिए शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहते हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर।
इससे पहले जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट थी उसमें हमने इतनी चेंजेस नहीं देखी है जितनी ये मोदी जी की गवर्नमेंट थी। हमारी जो ये गवर्नमेंट है ये बहुत सारी डेवलप करती है। जैसे कि मैंने मेट्रो राइडिंग की थी, इससे पहले मैंने कभी मेट्रो राइडिंग नहीं की।
बहुत मैजिकल था, लग रहा था वो सच में रियल में ही सामने है या फिर ये सब कुछ ड्रीम है, ऐसा ही फील हो रहा था। ये बहुत ज़्यादा फ्रेंडली थे, लग ही नहीं रहे थे कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर है, बहुत फ्रेंडली थे।
आज मैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर से मिलकर बड़ी ज़्यादा खुश हूँ। मैंने आज रियल में प्राइम मिनिस्टर देख के मुझे यकीन नहीं हो रहा था कि मैं आज प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी जी देखे हुए हैं। आज हमारे साथ उन्होंने फ़ोटो खिंचवाई, बड़ा अच्छा लगा मुझे।
ये फर्स्ट बार था हम सब का कि हम जम्मू कश्मीर से बाहर किसी स्टेट अपनी को देखने के लिए आए हैं। आज हमने इतना तो नहीं सोचा था कि हमें प्रधानमंत्री मिलेंगे, लेकिन हम शुक्रगुजार हैं इनके कि हमारे बच्चों के बीच में वो आए। हमारे जम्मू कश्मीर में अक्सर स्कूल बंद हुआ करते थे, लेकिन आजकल ये गवर्नमेंट की वजह से स्कूल भी खुले हैं, हाल क्लासेस चलती हैं। डेवलपमेंट की बात करें कि मेरी अपनी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में वर्ल्ड हाईएस्ट ब्रिज जो है रेलवे का बना है।
मैं जब प्रधानमंत्री जी से मिली तो उनको देख के मुझे कुछ करने की इच्छा जागृत हुई। मेरा मन करता है कि मैं कुछ बड़े होकर बनूं।
कश्मीर जिस तरह से डेवलप हो रहा है, मैं उस तरह से अपने वतन के लिए फ़ख्र हो रहा हूँ।
मुझे यकीन ही नहीं आ रहा कि मैं पहली बार मतलब ज़िंदगी में पहली बार अपना सपना मतलब वैसे मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मेरा ड्रीम पूरा हुआ, मतलब मोदी जी से मतलब मिल पाई। भारत माता की जय।
And still to come on DD India News Hour. India's Chirag Sen and Anmol Karb emerged champions in National Badminton Championships. And we show you some glimpses of Christmas festivities across the world.
India's huge leaps towards becoming self-reliant in defense sector. Policy changes enabling increased involvement of private sector. From humanitarian assistance to rescue operations. Increased synergy among armed forces through joint military exercises. Watch Echoes 2023, India's defenders at these times only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Now on to sport. India's Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports writes to the Indian Olympic Association to form an ad hoc committee for managing the daily affairs of Wrestling Federation of India. The move comes after India's Sports Ministry abstained the newly elected Executive Committee of the WFI from administering and managing the day-to-day activities of the Federation. According to an official statement by the ministry, the suspension comes after newly elected WFI President Sanjay Kumar Singh made hasty announcements without giving sufficient notice on national competitions. It seems Secretary General has not been involved in the said meeting of EC, which was held without any notice or quorum. The decisions made by the newly elected executive body of the WFI demonstrate a blatant disregard for the established legal and procedural norms. violating both the WFI's constitutional provisions and the National Sports Development Code. Adherence to governance norms is vital for ensuring fair play, transparency and accountability. United World Wrestling is yet to issue official communication lifting the suspension of WFI. Well, for more details, DD India correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya joins us on the phone line. Tapas, could you explain the entire matter in this regard and what is the current status of WFI?
Right, Siddharth. So let's just start from the first, when Sanjay Kumar Singh is the newly elected president of the Wrestling Federation of India.
Yeah.
And he announced on 21st of this month that the day, in fact, he was, elected as a president, that under 20 national for the wrestling will take place at Gonda and Nandini Nagar. And before the end of the year. So what happened is that this decision can only be taken by the executive committee. Now, as per clause 3 of the constitution of WFI, this particular executive committee can only come, as per article 11 of the constitution, can only be coming when the EC meeting and the notice for meeting can take place 15 days. At least a 15-day notice has to be given, and if an emergency meeting has to be called, it has to be called at least for, you have to give 7 days notice for that.
Okay.
So that was one part of it where they actually violated their own constitution. The second and a very important part was that the newly elected body appears to be, as per, if you take a close look at the newly elected body, they are very close aid of the former office bearer, which the ministry also flagged off that it might be a disregard to the sports codes that was there. So that was another part that the ministry raised objection to that. The third part is that the business of the federation, even the newly elected federation, is being run from the premises controlled by the former office bearers.
Okay.
In fact, which is also the alleged premise where the harassment of the players has been alleged, and the court hearing is also going on. Remember, there's a continuous process. There's the inquiry is still going on. So that was also something that the ministry has flagged off. The other part was that the decision made by this the newly elected Wrestling Federation of India is demonstrated blatant disregard to the legal and procedural norms. In fact, the National Sports Development Code and WFI's own code, they have actually, as per ministry, they have disregarded that. And you just mentioned the fact that the international body for wrestling is yet to, in fact, issue an official communication.
Correct.
We've been told that the newly elected body has tried to approach the international body also and the ministry also in this regard. But again, before getting a formal recognition from both the federation, from the international body as well as from it is very difficult to come up and give all those announcements. So that's something that the ministry has taken a close look and has actually suspended their activities for that matter.
All right, Tapas, thanks for your analysis. Now, India's Chirag Jain clinched the men's singles title, while Anmol Karb won the women's singles crown at the National Badminton Championships in Guwahati on Sunday. The 25-year-old Chirag, who had beaten second seed Kiran George in semi-final on Saturday, was engaged in a tough contest against fourth-seeded Tarun. While Chirag took the opening game 21-14, he lost the second 13-21 before bouncing back to win the decider 21-9. In women's singles, Anmol, who came off a win over second seed Ashmita Chaliha in the semi-final, was up against Tanvi Sharma in the final. The two had a tough fight in the opening two games as the honours were shared until then. However, in the deciding game, Tanvi struggled with an injury and was compelled to retire, handling the reigning national under-17 girls champion Anmol a 15-21, 21-17, 16-8 win. Christmas is being celebrated across the world with religious fervour and joy. In India, large number of devotees participate in mass prayers being offered at Immaculate Conception Church in Goa on the occasion of Christmas. Also, markets in the Goan capital Panji are decked up with Christmas trees and other decorative items. All right, and DD India correspondent Sam joins us from down south. Sam, what's the mood like in Kerala for Christmas? And are the sentiments upbeat for celebrations?
Celebration of love and peace. Here also in Kerala, people celebrate Christmas with great joy and happiness. Festive mode is on its high everywhere. We can see hanging stars in every home, irrespective of religion in Kerala. People arrange Christmas trees and trips at their homes to welcome Christ. Parents are trying to bring happiness and everlasting memories of Christmas into their kids' hearts and minds and to encourage them to share it with others as well. Churches, organizations, shopping malls, clubs and small groups are arranging a variety of Christmas celebrations. Christmas special Holy Kurbana services are being celebrated in the midnight and early morning in various churches. Special Christmas church services are going on in many churches. Giant Christmas trees, a variety of festive decorations, joyful gatherings in all places, including shopping malls, captures the happiness of Christmas. The Christmas markets are the tickets filled with joy, shopping, delicious food and fantastic entertainment for public.
Indeed.
Christmas carol singers are visiting houses with beautiful Christmas melodies accompanied by drums and other instruments to share the joy of Christmas. So many Christmas albums adding colors to the festival and make the days and nights melodious.
Indeed,
Kerala Council of Kerala Catholic Bishop Council and Chavara Cultural Center has published a special Christmas song.
Definitely, Sam. Definitely.
Rajagopal,
you stay with us, Sam.
Candidate from,
Definitely. You stay with us. I'll get back to you. We also have our correspondent Yogesh Sheetal joining us from Mumbai. Yogesh, now, how's the mood there and how are people celebrating Christmas?
Hi Siddharth, the mood is definitely full of festivity here in Mumbai. We are at Mahim Church, which is one of the oldest churches in Mumbai. Roughly, if we talk roughly, there are more than around 2,000 churches in Maharashtra, particularly going to Konkan region, the main area basically where Marathi Christians are residing. The area is completely lit with lights. A lot of decorations are here. We are also, as my colleague from Kerala was saying, that hanging stars, trees, the Christmas trees, and also the crits, everything, the decorations are completely we are witnessing here at Mumbai. Also, since the Maharashtra government had issued new circular allowing the pubs, hotels, restaurants to open till midnight, and also for 3 days, 24th, 25th and 31st, they can operate till 5 a.m. in the morning. So these are the things that are on the ground at this point in time. We are with the father of Mahim Church.
All right.
Father, what the message you want to spread and what are the arrangements that have been done?
If you look at the theme that we have created this season, and you're looking at, it's precisely this, that each human person is created in the image and likeness of God. Second thing is that hearts have become the hearts of stone. Today, we don't have much of empathy that we need to see. And that's the reason I feel that Christ Jesus was born into this world, to show that each one of us is created in the image and likeness of God, and we need to reach out. So the decorations today depict this particular heart of stone. We are caught up in these webs. There are a number of apps, the social media, things that today's youth are getting themselves bound together in such a way that they find it difficult to break the shackles. And in such a situation, it is Jesus who says, more important thing is the relationship that you need to have with people. You need to break all these shackles rather than communicating to social media. It is much more necessary that we do it more in a personal way, that you go and meet people, to talk to them, you look at the marginalized people who are poor, the oppressed, and that's where you need to share the joy that God has given us. And that's the message that we want to proclaim today.
Excellent. So the key thing that I could figure out that the social media and the reality life, actual thing, the connectivity, the people-to-people connect, the person-to-person connect, understanding each other. That is, I think, that is the key.
Yeah, that is the key thing, because today we talk over the phone. We are using media to communicate, where there is something lacking with our direct communication, where we used to go and visit people, talk to our friends, meet them. That is somehow missing in the families. The families also, each one is in their own mobiles today. You will find them sending WhatsApp messages, but that fact of bonding is somehow which is missing, and that's what.
When it comes to emotional bonding, social media can't,
Yes, you cannot substitute. You cannot substitute. Something which is lacking is that personal bond with people. I can communicate, I can write, but if there is no communication, I can send one WhatsApp message to 10 people, but I don't know who the person is. So that's what we are looking at. We are looking at, can the Lord change our hearts? Can we move from the heart that God has given us, that we become more and more empathetic towards the situation that we are in, and communicate from the depths of our being.
And also we share the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Also there is the doctrine of India that India follows, basically the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. To connect everyone, especially at the time when the worlds are taking a transitional phase, we are witnessing a lot of vibrations on social media. People are interacting. The mode of interaction have been completely changed. Lot of things have happened, emerged. A new trend has emerged. So at this point in time, definitely what the father is saying is very relevant, very important, especially when the message is being spread on this particular day. So also I'd like to request my camera person to pan the camera to give a look
Yogesh,
to how the decoration are made here. You can see, yeah, Siddharth, please.
All right, Yogesh, we are a little short of time.
Yes, Siddharth, please go ahead.
All right, let me just go across to our correspondent Sam, who's in Kerala. Sam, now in the wake of increase in the number of COVID cases in the last few days, has any advisory or note of caution been issued to general public?
Yes, Kerala reported 128 new COVID cases and one death in last 24 hours, according to the data on the Union Health Ministry. Of the 334 active cases reported nationwide yesterday, 128 were from Kerala. Now, 3,000 active cases are here. The health department has stopped the vigil following the spike in COVID-19 cases in Kerala. Kerala Health Minister Veena George said that there is no need to worry, even though the cases of COVID are increasing in the state. State Health Department had taken measures to manage the present situation. Guidelines were also issued. While the number of infected on the rise, the vast majority do not require hospitalization. Patients are admitted as per existing guidelines. Doctors at private hospitals pointed out that antigen tests were done for all inpatient admissions. RT-PCR tests were done for surgical cases and suspected cases that were tested negative in a rapid antigen test. The symptoms being shown in patients who tested positive include fever, cold, fatigue, and loss of smell. On the precautions to be taken by the public, Health Department advised that those who have fever or cold should not stay home. Should stay at home and take rest. Do not mix with other people.
All right. All right, Sam and Yogesh, thank you so much for your analysis, and Merry Christmas to both of you. Well, India's Prime Minister extended warm wishes to everyone on Christmas. In a tweet, he said, "May this festive season bring joy, peace and prosperity to all. Let's celebrate the spirit of harmony and compassion that Christmas symbolizes and work towards a world where everyone is happy and healthy." We also recall the noble teachings of Lord Christ. An Indian artist, Doordarshan Patnaik, unveiled a sand art sculpture at Eastern Puri Beach depicting a reclining Santa Claus and incorporating 2,000 kilograms of onions. The inspiration for this creation was climate change. All right, and that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.